hate to out you out in public, but as lesbians and Latinas, what is it about the stereotypes about Latina lesbians that I used to offer workshops for 2 years, and I always, when I asked, what are the stereotypes about men, what are the stereotypes about women? For women, they always said they're tough, they're aggressive, they wear flannel shirts, they're this, they're that. How do you feel about these stereotypes?
First of all, fashionably speaking, I refuse to wear plaid. No, I'm kidding. I like plaid once in a while. No, how do you feel about it? Personally, I think it can be insulting, because if they don't know you as an individual, they're already placing you in this category, which leads them to already treat you in a certain way. You know, if I wear plaid down the block and I got my jeans and my boots, all of a sudden I'm like a boot chow, or I'm this, or I'm that. How you know I'm not really like a farmer's daughter, or like just got off a farm, or I just like wearing plaid and I'm not gay, or, you know what I'm saying? It's like the stereotype will place you in this place, and people will treat you from that place. They won't break the box out of that. They won't even think of you outside of not just wanting to eat pussy, or not just wanting to out a straight woman, or just trying to turn one out, you know.
What's your box?
My box. That's the problem actually with me, is that I don't feel that I fall into a box, because I'm not what would be considered as butch or dyke, and I'm not considered ultra femme because I don't put on the lipstick and put on a dress. So I just walk to my own rhythm. I'm just myself. I don't necessarily feel that I just need to fall into a category, because it just boxes me in. It's a constraint, and I don't feel that in today's, you know, the age that we live in, things have changed so much. The attitude that people have of thinking that, you know, lesbian women are very tough and very manlike and things like that goes back to the 40s, 50s, when they had to live like that, because it was, one, an act of survival, and two, if you were going to be with a woman, you better be like that, because you had to protect her from whatever situations might arise on the street.
And those variables still hold for the most part in Latin America. That there are a lot more black and white, that lesbians in Latin America are either, you know, lipstick femmes, or, you know, and the other ones who don't wear skirts.
I had an incident like that in Venezuela, where I went to a conference and I was in shorts, sneakers, and a baseball cap with a t-shirt, and my friend who was traveling with me, she was in a nice summer dress and sandals, and there was no one in the restaurant except this older man, and he just kept staring, and I knew it was going to be a problem. And there was no one else in the restaurant but us, him, and the people who were serving us, until after 15 minutes he finally came over, and he just broke into this whole dialogue about, oh, you know, in Spanish, about, oh, you know, you should be ashamed of yourself acting as if you're a man when you're actually a woman. You know, what do you think you're doing? You know, act like what you are, be a woman, and this and that. And then he just left in a rampage. Meanwhile, that was the first time I had ever been addressed in that way, and I live in New York. I went all the way to Venezuela to receive treatment like that, because I was a lesbian, and I wasn't even outing myself at that moment. I was just dressed the way I always do.
As we shift to a Venezuelan psychologist who has gay patients and lesbian patients, how do these stereotypes impact individuals who happen to be gay and lesbian and our Latino community?
Well, I think that it's a big struggle, because you constantly feel like you have to be put in a box when you really don't want to be in one. And I think that you're right. Here in the States, you do have more options, and that it's really about trying to break free from any of the constraints so that you can really find who you are and act and behave and interact in the way that you feel comfortable with in a relationship.
And I would imagine, you know, your experiences, you know, though you left also young from Venezuela, but that it's also treated very differently in Latin America.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I apologize for my compatriots.
I mean, we experience enough difficulties here as Latinos in the United States, but I'd hate to be a Latino gay man in Latin America, in Cuba. You know, and there's a lot more freedom in Argentina now than what I experienced when I was there in the early 80s. But I still think it's a little worse there.
Yeah, it is. And I think it will take time for that comfort level to be reached in our Latin American countries. People don't understand. There's still the taboo about it. There's still a lot of the stereotypes about gay, both men and women. And they really, I think some of it is fear and not enough knowledge. And then when people are scared, they defend and attack rather than try and understand.
When we come back to Tio Louie y Latinas, we're definitely going to talk about tearing those cultural walls within our community as people who love our Latino community, but who are committed to talking about these issues and bringing them home.